Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. A little bit of snow in the air here, just a little bit cold, gray. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday morning. If you join me live, please just drop your name in the comments, say hello. I would love to hear from you. My name is Melinda Van Kirk of Melinda Van Kirk Wellness, and today we are doing a little art party called Fleck. And it's honestly just using dots. So let me show you. We've got, how much you guys can see. Let's see. There we go. So it's literally just using dots. Couldn't be more simple. These are 2-inch squares for the most part. They're not perfect squares, but I just cut up small little pieces of paper. This is watercolor paper, but any paper will do, cardstock. But the key is to do it really small. And we're just going to explore with the dot as our focus. So it's one of my most favorite meditative ways to create art. So I haven't done one in a while, but I've done some large drawings that are just all stipple. So this is called stippling, when you make just little tiny dots. And you use the dot concentration to create value between light and dark. So what we're going to do today is just some really simple, get yourself some little squares of paper, some pens. I love the micron pens for this. It makes a huge difference. Even if you use a fine point Sharpie, they tend to bleed a little bit. These are great, and you can experiment with different sizes. So I just grabbed a 0.5 and a 0.3. We'll see how they go. I have other sizes, but grab yourself a really nice pen that will work to create dots and get yourself set up. And as always, before we start our art class, we'll do a little bit of movement and a little bit of meditation just to come into the space and kind of tap into where we're at internally. So let's get up off our seats. And I'm going to tilt this down just a little bit so you can see as I back up. All right, so moving chairs out of the way. Let's go ahead and just do a little bit of shaking. So this is not yoga, but this is from Qigong. And it's just a really great way to get a little bit of energy in your body. So as you can see, I'm just kind of shaking my hands, doing a little bouncing. And then it's kind of nice to add a little bit of sound with it using the breath. Like a But really the key here is just to start loosening things up. And you can kind of come to one leg if you want to shake out your ankle and your leg on one side. And shake out your ankle and leg on the other side. And then move your arms and your other arm, especially if you've been on the computer. You're feeling tired. This is a nice energy boost for your day. And right now I'm feeling like my neck is so stiff. So I'm just going to kind of gently go back and forth as I bounce a little. My feet are on the ground, so I don't want to do anything too crazy. Really just releasing the muscles in the back of the neck, the spine. And you can close your eyes if that feels good. And you can maybe take your hips even side to side. Maybe you need a full circle of the neck, but there's not a lot of rules to this. You just want to get things moving. So it gets your lymph system moving, which clears out all that waste that we store in our bodies. So any movement during the day is really good to just clear things out. And we'll do about 10 more seconds. Whatever you want to shake out, just let the back of your neck be loose. Oh. Any sounds that feel good. And then slow it down, come to stand. Fingertips down by your side. Just feel into the energy you just created within your own body. Let your forehead relax and release. Notice all the prana or energy moving through the body. You might have some tingling sensations. And then just gently blink your eyes open. Let's do just one more little stretch. Grab for opposite elbows. Pull your hands into your elbows and elbows into hands. Stretch your shoulders back. Maybe even crescent a little over to your right and center. And then crescent over to the left and center and release. And then let's switch the grip. So grabbing to the opposite elbow, pulling your elbows into your hands again. And then crescent to your left. Back to center. Crescent to your right. And center. Release your hands down. Interlace your hands behind your low back. Press your palms. Lift your heart. Maybe moving your hands away from your body. And release. Just a couple shoulder rolls back and forth. And then let's come to seated. And begin our meditation. So, if possible, sit with your feet on the ground. I know my stool is high, so I can't sit like that. But, find something comfortable for you. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure this event is up on the live. It's not coming in. So, sitting with a long, tall spine. Begin to ground down through your feet. Maybe drawing your eyes to a close if that's comfortable. Letting your breath come back to natural. Releasing the wrinkles between your eyebrows. Letting your jaw rest and relax slightly. Maybe a little gap between your teeth. Notice how you're feeling in this moment. Energetically in your body, in your breath, and your mind. Just observing. And tapping into your third eye center. Letting your gaze come out between your eyebrows with your eyes closed. So your eyes are actually resting in their sockets. But it's this inner gaze from the very most center point of your brain. Gazing out that space between your eyebrows. And drawing your awareness down to your heart center. Right here. A pinpoint of energy, perhaps. Inviting in a little bit of gratitude. And cultivating inner abundance. Knowing that everything that we need, we have inside of us, right here, right now, in this present moment. Thinking of everything we have in our lives that we're grateful for, whether it's family, friends, even just nature around us, getting outside, exploring, experiencing. Whatever it is you feel like you're missing, can you look within yourself to find your own inner abundance? If it feels right for you, you can place your hands over your heart or hands at heart center in prayer. Just pausing for a couple more breaths. Cultivating gratitude. And peace. Gently blinking your eyes open, drawing in the light all around you. Welcome back to the space. I looked up, there's nice big snowflakes coming down outside, so what a lovely way to think about abundance today. Okay, so we are going to get ready to draw. I am hoping people can find me here. Sorry, not to deter from what we're doing, but I'm having a difficult time finding my live. There we go. Okay, so let us start drawing. I'm going to flip the camera down. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, so give me just a moment. Here was some of my examples just to remind you. So we're just going to create little dots. And it doesn't really matter what pattern you're creating. Move this out of the way. What matters is that you are just exploring. So I'm going to start with, let's do a little bit bigger pen. I'm going to start with 0.5. And I've just put a piece of paper underneath here so I can run off the page. And I invite you to just start making little tiny dots. And this is one of my most favorite meditative ways to draw. I used to doodle like this in high school, actually. Just making shapes and exploring into just what comes up for you. It doesn't need to look like anything. It's funny, I was talking to my sister this week on the phone. She said, "Oh, I saw your Facebook Live," and she was trying to get my niece to do it. My niece is 9. And she was so confused. What is she drawing? What is she doing? I don't understand. And it was just making lines into a shape that sort of looked like a leaf. But it's funny how we feel like we have to make something. Like, why can't we just create art and let it flow out of us naturally? And so you can see here, I'm just going to start scattering things around. I don't really know where I'm going with this. I always tend to start in a corner, and then I'm going to layer back in. So the whole point is to not really think about what you're doing. I mean, yes, giving it some kind of perspective in terms of like, okay, where do I want to take this dot? But it doesn't really matter. And it could be something swirly. It could be like a shape. It doesn't really have to be anything. It could just be dots going from dark to scattered, giving that idea of dark and light and exploring into that. And it's funny, the first time I ever had to do anything with this type of sheeting technique, which is really what it is. Like I said, it's called stippling. But the first time I had to do that, I hated it. I had a hard time controlling it. I didn't know what I was doing. My pen was too big. And then I realized the more I did it, like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I can create whatever I want in values of dark and light. And I can do it with just a dot. And I'll tell you, when you're bored in high school, it's a really good tool to have. I'd just get out my paper, and all along the sides of my papers, I'd have dotted like triangles. In fact, maybe I'll do one of those. And then the beauty of doing these little 2x2s is you can kind of experiment with not just the dot, but the shapes you're creating, and then get a little value in there without spending a vast amount of time. Because, you know, when you do these really big drawings, which, you know, I sketch out in pencil first. They're usually realistic when I do it. But you tend to like it's a monster of a project. But it's surprisingly therapeutic, I think. And you can relax into your hand. And so you see I've just kind of laid in some patterns. It's not necessarily going anywhere in particular. And And then I'm going to start layering in more dots a little bit here and there, just playing with value. So if you're not familiar with the term value in art, it just means your levels of dark and light. So the more dots I put in an area, like right here, I'm going to really concentrate all my little flecks. I'm trying to think of a cute name instead of just dot. And then I can spread them out a little bit, and then you start to see that transition from dark to light. And you can get really concentrated and make it solid with your dots if you want. But it's kind of fun just to work on this almost as like shading. And see where it takes you. Because then you'll notice, oh, my eye is drawn really heavily to right here. So how do I disperse this a little bit so it's not so heavy in one area? In art, we call that composition. And then don't be afraid to move your paper around a little bit. I'm going to do that in just a moment. You can probably hear my little bit of tapping as I do this. Having something underneath, not directly on the table, helps tremendously with that. So having this scrap piece of paper under here is a nice way to dampen the dotting. It can drive people insane if there's other people in your house and you're dotting, especially if you're being really hard with it. Like, you don't need to be that hard with it. It's just a little dot, right? In fact, unless you're getting at some aggression, which may feel good to do it that way. No need. I like to try and relax my hand a little bit. And sometimes you'll get that death grip and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. All right, I'm going to rotate this a little. And I don't know why I'm coming up with these kind of whirly swirly shapes. I don't know, just kind of letting the pen flow. I let this one come off and then come back on, and then maybe he'll trail off again. Kind of looks like an odd turn here, but that's okay. You can see I'd like to jump around too, so I'll add a little bit to one area, and then kind of pause and look at it. And then, okay, I'm going to add a little bit more over here. I want this to be dark to help balance the dark over here. I know I'm saying a lot about some art terms today, but you know, don't worry about it if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Skip it. We're doing a mini composition. And when you're done, you could do some fun things with watercolors on these, especially if you have the pigment pens. Like, maybe I'll try that out. I didn't get my watercolor stuff together today. And if anyone happens to pop in and join late, just drop a little note in the comments, say, hey, I'm joining you. I know this is a very odd time to do this class live, so totally understand most people probably won't be here. I wasn't feeling the best last Saturday. I was worn down. I'm kind of feeling the same today, but I was like, well, I can't do that two times in a row. And if anything, this is going to make me feel better. So just get worn out, worn down. I needed some time, which is so important, to take time for yourself and to do things just like this little thing with dots. Maybe I'll just have, I don't know, I kind of like what's happening here, but I don't want to add too many dots to this. Maybe just a little bit more here. And then you can disperse your dots too, so if it's like this little guy, I'm going to just kind of make them go into space. starts to take on like vine qualities. Must be something about vines that's speaking to me lately. Or trees. I did one that kind of looked like a tree. So, and then it's nice to step back and look at it. I don't want to add too much, but I do feel like it's pretty empty right here. So I'm going to just kind of do, maybe like make it look like something's coming back in this way. Just do a few dots. And then when I feel like I'm ready to be done, I'll move on to the next one. And it's really funny. I've actually had this planned for weeks, and then I often tune into Amy Miracle's online Facebook classes with Mindful Art Studio. And then she was doing this. She did this a few weeks ago, and I thought, oh no. Then I thought, why can't we do the same thing? And usually I get a lot of inspiration from her classes. So I've done her classes in my own way, my own version. Well, that's fun. And I actually didn't do this one with her, so hers may have ended up totally different. I just saw that she was kind of doing the same thing, and I was like, man. But you know what? We all do the same things all the time. There's not much to be original anymore, is there? At least that's what the postmodernists thought. Okay, and this is probably a little bit small on the screen for you. I'm going to go on and do another one. Maybe, so I have one long piece of paper. You know what? Nah, I'm going to stick with small. I have a rectangle here. All right, this is a rectangle instead of a square. And it's probably 2 by 2.5, I don't know. I think I'm just going to, actually, let me get the smaller point. So I'm going to grab my 0.3 now. And I'm just going to start down one corner and see where it takes me. And obviously with the smaller point, you need more dots to fill the area. But I just kind of want to see, I don't know. Not sure, I'm kind of feeling like a spiral maybe is going to emerge. Although I probably should have done that on my square. But we'll see what happens. The important part here is just to make this soothing and meditative. Don't forget your breath. We so often hold our breath when we draw. Let your face soften. Give yourself a little smile while you're drawing. And those of you who don't know me that might just be tuning in, I'll give you a little bit of background of my life while we dot. I was born in Worthington, Ohio, so from the suburb of Columbus. I live in Hilliard now. So I'm still here. Moved away a couple times, moved back a couple times. And I initially went to Ohio State back in the 90s. And I was going to be an artist. That was the plan. So I started taking all my foundations art classes. And I liked them a lot. I ended up in sculpture, which I think I like to create 3D things because it was a challenge for me, but I didn't really know, I didn't have a plan in mind, like, I want to work with metal. And I went through the whole process, did all my foundations courses, applied to the art school, got accepted. It's a whole review, portfolio review. And then I took my first official sculpture class. So I had taken like a 3D class already, which I really liked. It's really hard, actually. You had to do like some structural feats with that class. Sorry, I'm just watching this guy take shape. I don't know where he's headed. Interesting. Okay. And as I took that class, I just hated it. So we weren't allowed to make things that were realistic. We were supposed to be abstract and conceptual. Except this one guy, he did what he wanted, and he got A's, and all his work turned out amazing. And I thought, why am I following these rules that they keep giving us? And I hate what I'm creating. I didn't like my projects. I really was like, this is terrible. I don't even know what I'm doing. This isn't me. I want to create a bird out of plaster like this one guy did, and it looked awesome. Instead, I tried to make it this statement. Everything had to be a statement. Must have been the art department there in the 90s. I don't know what it's like now. And I will never forget that I went up to the office, and I was halfway through the quarter, and I said, I can't do this class. I'm changing my major. I'm dropping the sculpture class. At the time, you would get a W on your transcript, which didn't mean anything, so I didn't fail. You just couldn't have too many of those. And I dropped the course halfway through. I wheeled my project, my giant plaster egg that I was trying to make. It looked like crap. Wheeled it out to the dumpster, and the thing weighed so much, so I had to wheel it on like a rolly garbage can and then shove it into the dumpster. And that was the end of my career as a sculpture student, which is actually kind of sad. And then I went into art education, and I became an art teacher. And I taught art in Kentucky for 4 years, and I was miserable. My life woes, right? I love teaching art, honestly. I dislike dealing with nonsense. And I taught high school art, and I was 24 years old out of school, teaching kids that were barely younger than me, and they all thought I was a student. And I was like, this wasn't the right choice. What do I do? And a lot of personal stuff went on during that time, and I ended up coming back to Columbus as I was going through some marriage issues and ended up divorcing. And I came back, and I was like, what am I going to do? So I was a substitute teacher for many years. I'm digging this guy. It's funny when you don't think what comes out of it. All right. So I subbed in Hilliard. I met my current husband there. And I decided to go back to school. And I was going to school in fashion design. And I went to Columbus College of Art and Design. And I graduated in 3 years. So I had 5 years of undergrad. One at actually Colorado, which I left that part of the story out. 4 years at Ohio State. 1 year towards my master's degree at Ohio State to get my certification. And then 3 years at CCAD. I've spent a stupid amount of time in college. But I learned so much. Actually, I love school, so I like being a student. And I got my degree in fashion. I actually was valedictorian and, kicked butt at school. And I got my job. And I started out liking it, and I actually was in technical design, so I wasn't doing much of my artistic skills, but I was using patterns and fitting garments, which all that 3D, experience I had played into that, so which is pretty cool. It wasn't that much at Ohio State, but I understood the 3D aspect of it. I loved ceramics at Ohio State, actually. I think if I had taken that sooner, I would have ended up in ceramics. Trying to figure out where this guy's headed. I'm going to give him a little dispersal over here. And so, so I got my job in technical design. I did that job for 10 years. The last couple were miserable. I had a lot of ups and downs. I think that's the field of retail in any position, whether I was in design, tech design. It's not that we didn't like the job. It's not that we didn't like the people. It's the culture, which is a little bit sad that we live in this culture. And now here I am, post-COVID, unemployed, making my own way, trying to make my own way. Teaching yoga, teaching art classes. I'm getting my health coaching certification. So once again, I am back in school in a sense, online training. But I don't regret any of these decisions. So, our meditation at the beginning talked about cultivating our inner abundance. And that's what I do every day. Even the days I feel like crap. Even today, I was feeling like crap this morning. My throat's a little bit sore. I think I'm just tired. I think I had some interrupted sleep the last couple of nights. The dog not cooperating with me, waking me up. But yeah, I just stop and pause and do a little meditation. Do something like this. Draw dots for half an hour or so. It's amazing how much better we can feel. I'm totally digging that these two are like parallel to each other, and then this third one. Digging this one. It's funny how it's taking on this. Instead of a vine, it reminds me of like an octopus or something. Which, by the way, if you have Netflix, watch My Octopus Teacher. It was so good. Like, unbelievably good. It was one of the coolest, most telling documentaries about life and that I've seen ever. And you would never think it would be so good. Because it just sounds like, what? There's my plug for that. All right. So you can see I've kind of concentrated some of these a little bit more here. They're a little bit scattered. It's almost as if this shape is kind of dispersing into nothing. And same with here. This guy's just kind of going out to nowhere. I'm just going to scatter a few dots around. And I'm digging my spiral, so I might have like part of a spiral coming up as if it was some other object coming in from the side. And then maybe he comes around here as well. If anyone's joining, please say hello. Drop something into the comments. Share this if you know someone that would like this video. You can go to my YouTube channel. It's Melinda Van Kirk Wellness. And I keep all my Facebook Live videos housed there. I do a little quick editing of those usually. And this is fun. And even if you're making something, you're like, this part's so cool, and this part's like, meh, whatever it is. Like, no worries. You can always do another one, kind of simulating the parts you like. So that's the best thing about doing these little squares. If they don't really turn out, it doesn't really matter because it takes no time at all to do another one. All right, I feel like I'm needing a little bit more darkness. I'm going to grab my eraser. I have a fingerprint right here. There we go. I think I'm going to make this part, like central part, dark. And we won't do the full hour today. An hour can be a little bit long sometimes when we're creating. Sometimes you just want to do like 10 minutes. I think that's a great way to start getting back into your art. In fact, maybe we'll do like, oh, that would be fun. I do like 10-minute lives. People can join. All right, it's time to go. Let's do our 10 minutes of drawing. We'll see. I kind of like that this makes like a ridge here. I'm really concentrating my dots here just to play with it and see what it looks like, see if I like it. Yeah, I do kind of like that. Fun. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm just talking and it doesn't really matter, like just kind of playing around with it. Increase my spirals a little bit. I love that it looks like a sea creature to me. All right. I like that you can also turn these and rotate them around. Feeling good about this one. By all means, you can keep going. I think I'm going to end class early today. I think I like this ending right where it's at, but I would love to hear from you, to see what you've created and what you've come up with. Here's my little wild ones for today. And the fun thing is, if you do make these the same size, you can start to like line these up together, which I should have done that, but I didn't make mine the same size. Like experiment with them, see what looks good together. And you can actually create a bigger piece from these little pieces. So really fun, cool ways to experiment. Right? Too bad they're not the same size. Those two are the same size. So this could be the start of something. Well, that's cool. I like that. So just have fun with it. Play around. See what you get. Maybe this one becomes like a 3, like a triptych. It's cut off, so let's see if I can zoom out here. Rotate it this way. Super fun. So you can actually make a bunch of these and then put them together and see what you get. You can take them and experiment with watercolors. You could also use colored pens and do it with that. That would be really fun. Or black paper with a white pen. That's always a cool effect, kind of like a space effect. All right, I'm going to flip the camera up. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, this is Melinda Van Kirk, and I hope to see you soon. Namaste.